The heartwarming underwater story of the amethyst little fish Zai Zai. Deep in the blue sea lived a special little fish. Unlike its companions, its scales were not silvery white or golden yellow, but shone with a crystal clear purple light, as if inlaid with countless purple crystals. Everyone called it Zai Zai. Zai Zai has a slender and long body. Her tail is like a soft purple silk ribbon. When she swims, her tail gently swings, leaving a faint purple halo behind her, like a handful of purple stars scattered. Her mother always says, Zai Zai is a little gem at the bottom of the sea. Kindness and wisdom are hidden in her scales. That early morning, the little starfish, Xing Xing, was crying in the coral bush. It had accidentally got separated from its mother and was left alone in a strange place, too scared to move. Zizi swam over with a purple tail and asked gently, Xing Xing, what's wrong with you? The star stammered, I can't find my mum. Zizi smiled and said, Don't be afraid, I'll help you look for it. It let the stars lie on its back, and by the purple light of the scales, it slowly explored the bottom of the sea. The purple light was particularly conspicuous on the dark seabed. The starfish mother soon saw it and hurriedly swam over to embrace the star. Starfish mother nodded at Zizi and said, Thank you, Zizi. Your purple light is like a little lantern, helping us reunite. In the morning, the sun shone through the seawater into the seabed at little hermit crab. Babi wanted to move into a more beautiful shell, but the new shell was too heavy for it to carry. Zizi saw this and quickly called over the little shrimps beside her to help. Babi, don't worry, we'll help you. Zizi pushed the shell with her body, while the little shrimps exerted all their strength beside her, and together they delivered the beautiful new shell to Babi. Babi happily crawled into the new shell and waved her pincers at Zizi, saying, Thank you, Zizi. You are truly my good friend. I couldn't have done it without you. At noon, the corals at the bottom of the sea were a little wilted because they hadn't absorbed enough nutrients for a long time. Zizi recalled the nutrient current. She knew and quickly led her friends to gently move the coral to the place where the current passed. After absorbing nutrients, the corals gradually regained their bright colors and even bloomed tiny coral flowers, gently swaying towards purple. Zai Zai looked at the vibrant coral clusters and felt sweet in her heart. The purple light on the scales also became brighter. In the afternoon, the little turtle Tao Tao wanted to collect the colorful pebbles, but it swam too slowly and many pebbles were washed away by the waves. Zizi saw this and quickly said, Tao Tao, I'll help you chase after it. It swung its tail like a purple silk ribbon and swam rapidly towards the waves, carrying back the red and blue pebbles that had been washed away one by one and piling them up in front of Tao Tao. Tao Tao held a pile of colorful pebbles and couldn't stop smiling. Thank you, Zizi. Your speed is even faster than a small speedboat. I've finally collected all the colorful pebbles. In the evening, the setting sun filtered through the sea, dyeing the seabed a warm orange red. All the little friends at the bottom of the sea gathered under the largest coral tree and held a small thank you party for Zai Zai. The starfish mother brought sweet seaweed, the hermit crab Bebe brought smooth little shells, and the little turtle Dao Tao shared the colorful pebbles she had collected. Zai Zai swam in the middle, her purple scales shining with a gentle light. She said, "I'm the happiest when I help everyone." Mother smiled and said, "The purple light is not only beautiful, but also conceals warm kindness. This is the most precious thing. When the moon rises, its moonlight spills into the ocean floor, interweaving with the purple light like a dreamy purple starry sky." It swung its purple tail and swam around the bottom of the sea, bringing joy and warmth to every little friend. Because of the amethyst little fish, Zai Zai, this tiny seabed has become more lively and beautiful. Such days are more delicious than sweet seaweed and more dazzling than purple scales. The underwater adventure of little seahorse Tiao Tiao in the shallow coral sea. There lives a lively little seahorse named Tiao Tiao. Tiao Tiao has a silver-grey body, as if wrapped in a smooth silver film. Her belly is round and her tail is curved like a small hook, which can firmly catch the coral branches. Its eyes are round and round, like two black buttons. When it swims, its body twists and turns, as if dancing a cute dance. Dad Seahorse always says Tiao Chow is a little explorer at the bottom of the sea. Brave and enthusiastic, she is always welcome wherever she goes. That early morning, the little shrimp Meng Meng was anxiously circling among the seaweed. It wanted to find its mother, but the seaweed was too thick and it got lost. Tiao, Tao hugging the coral branch, swayed over and asked softly, "Meng Meng, why are you crying?" Meng Meng wagged her little tail and said, "I can't find my mum." Tiao Chow smiled and said, "Don't be afraid, I'll take you to look for it." It let Meng Meng hold its tail and swim along the familiar route, shouting "Shrimp Mom" at the same time. Tiao Tiao's silver-grey body stood out among the seaweed. The shrimp mother quickly found them and nodded at Tiao Tiao, saying, "Thank you, Tiao Tiao. You are such a reliable little guide." In the morning, the sun shone through the sea. Little Conch Lely wanted to climb up to the high coral to enjoy the view, but the coral was too slippery. After climbing several times, she always slipped down. Tiao Tiao saw this and swam over quickly, using her curved tail to hook onto the coral, turning her body into a small seahorse bridge. "Lele, follow me up." Lele slowly climbed up to the top of the coral along Tiao Chow's body and happily shouted, "Thank you, Tiao Chow." The scenery here is so beautiful. Your tail is more useful than a small ladder. At noon, the seabed was a bit muggy. Little starfish, Xing Xing, was lying on a rock, looking listless. She wanted to drink some cool seawater but couldn't reach it. Tiao Tiao remembered the nearby Qingliang Trench and quickly said, "Xing Xing, follow me." It carried the stars to the edge of the trench. The water there was cool and refreshing. The stars immersed in it suddenly became energetic and stretched out their 5 little feet. Thank you, Tiao Tiao. The cool sea water is so comfortable. You are truly my little savior. In the afternoon, the sunlight from the sky filtered through the sea, shining brightly on the seabed. Little crab Zhuanggu Zhuang wanted to carry a beautiful colored stone home, but the stone was too heavy to push. Tiao Tiao saw this and quickly called over her friends beside her to help. Zhuangguang, don't worry, we'll help you. Tiao Tiao used her body to support the colorful stones, and the little crabs pushed them beside her. Together, they carried the colorful stones to Zhuanggu Shuang's home. Zhuangguang waved his pliers at Tiao Tiao and said, "Thank you, Tiao Tiao. I can't move without you. You are such a warm-hearted person." In the evening, the setting sun dyed the seawater a warm orange red. The underwater friends gathered in the coral garden and held a small sharing session for Tiao Tiao. Shrimp Mum brought fresh aquatic plants. Little Conklele shared sweet seaweed juice, and little crab Zhuanggu Zhuang took out the smoothest pebbles. Tiao Tiao swam in the middle, her eyes shining brightly. She said, "Helping and playing together with everyone is the happiest thing." Dad Seahorse smiled and said, "Brave exploration and willing to share. Such jumping is the cutest." When the moon rose, its light shone into the ocean floor. Tiao Tiao hooked on the coral branches, looking at his sleeping friends beside him with a smile on his lips. Because of the little seahorse Tiao Tiao, this small coral sea has become warm and lively. Such days are more refreshing than sweet seaweed juice and more shiny than a silver-grey body. The pond guardian story of the blue-winged dragonfly, Momo, in the reed pond at the edge of the village. There are lush green reeds and round lotus leaves. Here lives a special dragonfly. Its wings are not as transparent or colorful as those of its companions, but shiny pure black, as if brushed with a layer of black ink, yet with a metallic luster. Everyone calls it Momo. Momo's body is long and slender, clad in a deep green armor. Her eyes are like two black gems. When she flies, her black wings flap quickly and steadily, like a small black fighter jet. Her mother always says Momo is the guardian of the pond. Although her wings are black, they hide bravery and responsibility. That early morning, little shrimp Dodo got her tail entangled by water plants. The more she struggled, the tighter the entanglement became. She was so anxious that she swayed her body straight. Momo flapped her blue wings and flew over, asking softly, "Dodo, what's wrong with you?" Dudu said in a crying tone, "My tail is entangled in the water plants. I can't fly back." Momo quickly stopped on the water plants and carefully pushed aside the tangled ones with her pointed feet. Soon she helped Dodo loosen the binding. Dudu wagged her free tail and thanked Momo. "Thank you, Momo. Your little hands are so dexterous. They are even more useful than small scissors." In the morning, as the sun rose slowly, the mosquito larvae in the pond were wriggling around in the water, hoping to grow up and bite their friends. When Momo saw this, she immediately spread her black wings and flew low over the water like a little hunter, eating the mosquito larvae one by one. Little carp Lely swam over and wagged its tail at Momo, saying, Momo, thank you for protecting the pond. With you by our side, we are no longer afraid of mosquitoes." Momo flapped her black wings and continued her patrol. Her blue wings shone with a determined light in the sunlight. At noon, little Aunt Guago, along with her friends, was carrying cookie crumbs. When they reached a small soil slope by the pond, they accidentally dropped the cookie crumbs into the water. Guagu was so anxious that she kept stamping her feet. Momo saw this and quickly flew over, gently picking up the floating cookie crumbs with her feet and steadily carrying them to the soil slope. Guagu waved her antennae and said, "Thank you, Mo. Your blue wings are fast and steady, even more reliable than a small boat." In the afternoon, the little girl Duo from the neighbor's house came to the pond to sketch. As soon as she saw Momo flying in the air, her eyes lit up. "Wow, this black dragonfly is so cool. It looks like a little warrior." Momo gently landed on Duo's drawing paper, and her blue wings flapped gently, showing no sign of shyness at all. Duo carefully sketched its appearance and said with a smile, "You are so brave and warm-hearted. I'm going to draw you down and make you the main character in my painting." Momo winked at Duo as if saying, "Sure." In the evening, a gentle wind suddenly blew in the sky. Little ladybug. Dion was blown onto the water surface by the wind and desperately clung to the edge of the lotus leaf. Momo hurriedly flew over, let Dion climb onto his back, flapped his blue wings and steadily carried it back to the shore. Dion shook the spots and said, "Thank you, Mo. Your back is safer than a lotus leaf. You are truly our guardian deity." The setting sun dyed the pond an orange-red color. All the little friends in the pond gathered under the big lotus leaves and held a small thank you party for Mo. Mo, little shrimp, brought freshwater plants, little carp shared sweetwater algae, and Duo presented Momo's sketches. Momo stood in the middle, its blue wings shining with gentle light. It said, "Protecting everyone is the happiest thing for me." Mother smiled and said, "It doesn't matter whether you look good or not. Being brave, kind, and willing to take responsibility are the most precious qualities." When the moon rose, Momo flapped her black wings and patrolled above the pond. Her black wings, reflecting the moonlight, looked like a black bolt of lightning. Thanks to the blue-winged dragonfly Momo, this small pond has become more peaceful and beautiful. Such days are more refreshing than the sweet pool water and more dazzling than the shiny black wings. The friendly forest story of the green-haired rabbit on the grassland at the edge of the forest lived a special little rabbit. Its fur was not snow-white or greyish-brown like that of its companions, but a tender grass-green colour, as if wrapped in a layer of tender spring leaves. Everyone called it Chinking. Chinking's ears are long, with a hint of pink at the tips. Her eyes are like two glistening green grapes. When she jumps, her short tail curls up and down like a small green ball on her head. Mother Rabbit always says, "Chinking is the tender bud in the forest, kind and lively. Wherever she goes, she brings joy." That early morning, the little squirrel Guagu panicked on the pine tree. The pine cones it had stored had rolled into the thorn bush, and it dared not reach out to pick them up. Chinking hopped over and asked softly, "Guagu, why are you frowning?" Guagu pointed at the thorn bush and said, "My pinnacone has fallen in. I'm afraid I'll get pricked by the thorns." Chinking had a sudden inspiration. With her long ears, she gently pushed aside the thorns and carefully picked out the pinnacone. Guagu held a pinnacone in her hands and wagged her tail at Chinking, saying, "Thank you, Chinking. Your ears are more dexterous than small tweezers." In the morning, the sun was slowly rising. Little hedgehog Kooky wanted to look for the sweet wild berries. But the path in the forest was winding, and it got lost. When Chinking saw this, she immediately said, "Kooky, I'll take you there. I know the way." It led Kooky through the path filled with wildflowers and helped clear away the weeds blocking the way. Soon it found the bushes overgrown with wild berries. Kooky happily picked up wild berries and hunched over to Chinking, saying, "Thank you, Chinking. Your green down is like a little signpost in the grass. Following you is a sure bet." At noon, the sky was a bit muggy. Little bees buzzed back from gathering nectar, their mouths dry and tongues parched, but they couldn't find clean spring water. Chinking thought of the brook she often visited and quickly said, "Wang Wang, follow me." It ran to the brook with a buzz and folded a small cup out of leaves, scooping up the cool stream water and handing it to Buzz. Buzzing drank from the stream water, flapping its wings and saying, "Thank you, Chinking. You are such a warm-hearted little guide. The stream water quenches your thirst better than nectar." In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Chinking thought of the little ants living under the mushroom umbrella. Their homes were easily flooded by rain. Chinking hurried home, dragged a large lotus leaf, and placed it above the ant hole. She also fixed the lotus leaf with small stones. When the raindrops pattered down, the ant captain poked his head out from under the leaves and waved his antennae at Chinking. "Thank you, Chinking. Your lotus leaf umbrella is more effective than a big tent." In the evening, the setting sun dyed the forest orange-red. The friends in the forest gathered under the big pine tree and held a small sharing session for Chinking. The squirrel brought the most fragrant pine cones, the hedgehog shared sweet wild berries, and the bee sent sweet nectar. Chinking sat in the middle. Its green fur shone gently in the setting sun. It said, "I'm the happiest when I help everyone." Mother Rabbit smiled and said, "The green downy fur is not only special, but also conceals warm kindness. This is the most precious thing." When the moon rose, Chinking lay in her little nest, holding the gifts given by her friends, with a smile on her lips. Because of the green-haired rabbit Chinking, this small forest has become warmer and more lively. Such days are more beautiful than sweet wild berries and more eye-catching than tender green down. The red-feathered parrot, red and red, sings joyfully in the forest. On a big tree in the tropical rainforest lived a beautiful parrot. Its feathers were like burning flames, shining red, and the edges of its wings were tinged with a hint of golden yellow. Everyone called it Hong Hong. Hong Hong has a sharp, curved beak, round black eyes like black agate, and a long tail like a red fan. When it flies, its red feathers spread out, like a red lightning bolt. The mother bird always says Hong Hong is a little singer in the forest. Her singing is loud and her heart is even warmer. That early morning the little squirrel Guagu was pacing round anxiously in the tree hole. It wanted to give nuts to its good friend at the top of the tree, but the branch was too thin to climb up. Hong Hong, flapping her red wings, flew over and asked loudly, "Guagu, do you need any help?" Guagu pointed at the top of the tree and said, "I want to send nuts, but I can't climb up." Hong Hong smiled and landed beside Guagu, saying, "I'll take it over for you." It picked up the nut with its mouth, flew steadily to the top of the tree, and handed the nut to Guagu's friend. Guagu waved her hand at Hong Hong and said, "Thank you, Hong Hong. Your wings are more reliable than small planes." In the morning, as the sun rose slowly, Kiyuki, the little hedgehog in the forest, couldn't find her way home and sat on the grass, humming anxiously. After hearing this, Hong Hong immediately flew high into the sky. With the wide field of vision, she found the direction of Kiwi's home and then flew back to guide Kiyuki. "Follow me. Go east to the big oak tree." It flew and chirped, carrying Kiyuki through the bushes and safely back home. Kiyuki bent over and said, "Thank you, Hong Hong. Your voice is more effective than a small trumpet." At noon, little monkey Tauto wanted to pick the red fruits on the tree, but the fruits were on the highest branch and out of reach. Hong Hong saw this and quickly said, "Tau, I'll help you." Flapping its red wings, it flew to the top of the branch and gently pecked off the red fruits with its sharp beak, throwing them one by one to Tau. Tauto held a full handful of red fruits and couldn't stop smiling. "Thank you, Hong Hong. Your mouth is more dexterous than a little hook." In the afternoon, the little girl Duadwo from the neighbor's house came to play in the forest. As soon as she heard Hong Hong singing, she followed the sound and came over. "Wow, this red parrot is so beautiful and its singing is so pleasant." Hong Hong gently landed on Duadwa's shoulder, rubbed her head against her palm, and imitated Duadwa to speak. "Hello." Duadwa clapped her hands happily and said, "You are so smart. Let's be friends." Hong Hong flapped her red wings and chattered away in response, as if saying, "Great, great." In the evening, the setting sun dyed the forest orange. The little friends in the forest gathered under the big oak tree and held a small concert for Hong Hong. The squirrel played the nut guitar. The hedgehog kept the rhythm. Duadwo sang children's songs, and Hong Hong stood in the middle and sang the loudest song. The mother bird smiled and said, "Hong Hong not only has a beautiful singing voice, but is also willing to help others. This is the most precious thing." When the moon rose, Hong Hong flapped her red wings and flew around the forest. Her singing, accompanied by the evening breeze, reached every corner of the forest. Because of the red-feathered parrot Hong Hong, this small forest has become more lively and joyful. Such days are more beautiful than sweet red fruits and more dazzling than fiery red feathers. The growth story of little eggplant Zai Zai in the vegetable garden in Grandpa's vegetable garden. There are many little eggplants hanging on the eggplant rack, among which the cutest one is Zai Zai. When it first grew out, it was a little green, like a round green light bulb, hiding behind the emerald green leaves. Every day it absorbed the sunlight and the water given by Grandpa, looking forward to wearing its purple little coat as soon as possible. That early morning, just as Zizzy's fruit skin was moistened by the morning dew and shone brightly, she heard a rustling sound. It was Guagu, a little ant from the vegetable garden. It was leading its friends to carry breadcrumbs, but the breadcrumbs were too big for the little ants to move. They were so anxious that they were circling around the breadcrumbs. Zizzy quickly shook her body and let a dewy eggplant leaf fall beside Guagu. Guagu, use my leaves as a small cart. Can help you carry breadcrumbs. Guagu and her friends quickly pushed the breadcrumbs onto the leaves and slowly pushed the leaves towards the ant nest. They also waved their antennae at Zizzy and said, "Thank you, Zizzy. Your leaves are stronger than our little ones." Day by day passed, and Zai Zai gradually changed its appearance. Its color changed from light green to pale purple, and then from pale purple to deep purple, as if it were wearing a shiny purple silk coat. Its round body hung on the vines, and when the wind blew, it swayed gently. Even passing butterflies liked to stop beside it, flapping their colorful wings. In the morning, as the sun gradually rose, the little ladybug Dion Dion in the vegetable garden was looking for aphids on the leaves. Suddenly, it was blown by a gust of wind and fell into a small ditch under the eggplant trellis. The ditch was quite deep, and Dion Dion tried several times but couldn't climb up. She was so anxious that her little antennae kept shaking. When Zizzy saw this, she quickly let the vine hang down a little and brought her body close to the edge of the ditch. "Dion, Dion, grab my fruit peel and climb up. My skin is very smooth and won't scratch you." Dion Dion quickly grabbed Zai Zai's peel, slowly climbed up, and shook the spots on Zai Zai's back shell. "Thank you, Zai Zai's. Your fruit peels are even more useful than small ladders." At noon, Dodo, the little brother of the neighbor, came to the vegetable garden to play. He wanted to pick the most beautiful vegetable for his mother as a gift, but looking at the bright red tomatoes and the green cucumbers, he didn't know which one to choose. Grandpa smiled and pointed at Zizzy, saying, "Dodo, look how well this eggplant is growing, how beautiful its purple color is." Dodo reached out and touched the purple peel of the fruit. It was soft and smooth. She happily said, "I'll choose this little eggplant. Mum is sure to like it." Zizzy shook her body as if saying, "I'm willing to go with you." In the afternoon, Grandpa was picking vegetables in the vegetable garden. Accidentally, he knocked over the bamboo basket used for holding the vegetables. A few small tomatoes rolled under the eggplant rack and hid among the leaves. Grandpa bent over and searched for a long time, but couldn't find them. Zizzy quickly shook her body in the direction of her grandpa and gently pushed aside the leaves beside her, revealing the small tomatoes hidden beneath. When Grandpa saw this, he smiled and picked up the cherry tomatoes, thanks to Zizzy. Otherwise, these cherry tomatoes would have been lost. In the evening, the setting sun dyed the vegetable garden orange red. Grandpa picked the ripe zai and sat with Dodo on a small stool by the vegetable garden. Dodo held Zizzy and looked at it over and over again, reluctant to give it to her mother. "Grandpa, this little eggplant seems to be smiling at me. Can I play with it for a while first and then give it to my mum tomorrow?" Grandpa smiled and nodded. He also helped Dodo tie Zizzy around her wrist with a rope, as if she were wearing a small purple bracelet. Zizzy lay in Dodo's palm, feeling sweet inside. Suddenly, it felt that from a green little eggplant to a mature one with a purple glow, it could not only help the little ants, carry breadcrumbs, rescue the little ladybugs, and help Grandpa find tomatoes, but also become a little gift that Dodo liked. It was much happier than hanging on the vine all the time. It turns out that even a tiny eggplant can, through its own growth and kindness, become a purple little treasure in the vegetable garden, bringing joy and help to everyone. When the moon rose, Dodo placed Zizzy in a small plate by the window. The purple peel of Zizzy sparkled gently in the moonlight, like a small purple gem. The room was quiet, with only Dodo's gentle breathing. Because of Zizzy, this little night became warmer and more beautiful. Such days were sweeter than the tomatoes in the vegetable garden, and more beautiful than the purple coat. The growth story of the young sapling in the green courtyard in the yard of my grandma's house. There is a small sapling. Everyone calls it green when it was first planted. It was only as tall as the knees, with thin branches and a few tender green leaves on top, like a shy little baby. Every day, it tried hard to absorb the sunlight and rain, hoping to grow taller quickly. Grandma waters it every day and also sets up a small wooden stick beside it, fearing that the wind might blow it over. That early morning, LV had just been moistened by the morning dew until its leaves shone when it heard a rustling sound. It was the chirping of a little sparrow that had just flown out of its nest. It wanted to find a safe place to build a new nest, but the big tree in the yard was too tall for it to fly up. Green quickly shook its slender branches and shouted to Shoo Shoo, Shoo Shoo, come to me. Though my branches are thin, they can help you keep out the wind. Shoo Shoo flew around LV twice and landed on the thickest branch, picking up dry grass and feathers, and slowly built up a small nest. After setting it up, Juju flapped her wings at LV and said, "Thank you, LV. Your branches are even more stable than I thought. From now on, this place will be my home." Day by day passed, and LV gradually changed its appearance. Its branches grew thicker. Reaching as tall as Grandma's waist, its tender green leaves turned dark green and many new branches sprouted. When the wind blew, the leaves rustled, as if singing a happy song. In the morning, after Grandma finished washing the clothes, she found that there were enough clotheslines and there was no place to hang the freshly washed handkerchiefs. When LV saw this, she quickly stretched out the smoothest branch in front of her grandma, as if saying, "Grandma, hang it with me." Grandma smiled and tied the small handkerchief to the branch. The handkerchief gently fluttered in the wind, as if she had tied a colorful little scarf for LV. Grandma touched the green branch and said, "Green is so sensible. Now you can even help Grandma with the work." At noon, the sun was scorching hot. My neighbor's little brother, Dodo, came to play in the yard. After running for a while, he was sweating profusely and wanted to find a cool place to rest for a while. Green quickly spread out its thick leaves and built a green little pergola for Dodo. "Dodo, come and rest under me for a while. Leaves can block the sun." Dodo ran under LV. Sure enough, it was much cooler. She also picked up a small stone that had fallen on the ground and drew a big smiling face at the base of LV. LV, your awning is even more comfortable than Grandma's bamboo chair. In the afternoon, a few small green fruits suddenly sprouted on the green branches. They were sweet little crabapple fruits. Little squirrel Lely jumped down from the courtyard wall. When it saw the fruit, its eyes lit up, but it couldn't reach it, so it had to circle around LV. LV quickly drooped the fruit-bearing branches and said, "Lely, don't worry. Pick them slowly." Lely stood on tiptoe, picked a fruit, took a bite, and the sweet juice spread in its mouth. It quickly picked two more, put them in its arms, and shook its big tail at LV. "Thank you, LV. Your fruit is sweeter than the pine cones I found." In the evening, dark clouds suddenly rose from the sky, and it began to drizzle. The little snail that had just been playing in the yard slowly had nowhere to take shelter from the rain, and its shell was all covered with mud and water. LV quickly let a large leaf hang down and cover slowly above, as if opening a green umbrella. Slowly hiding under the leaves, slowly stretching out its antennae. It waved at Green and said, "Thank you, Green. Your leaves are just like little umbrellas. Not a drop of rain can get on me." The setting sun dyed the yard an orange-red. Standing in the center of the yard, LV watched her companions. Juju was singing in the nest. Dodo was playing with pebbles under the pergola, and Lely was running away with fruits in her arms, slowly resting under the leaves. Her heart felt warm. Suddenly it felt that from a tiny seedling to one that could provide shade-hang things and bear fruit, it was not only for its own growth, but also to help the little birds build nests, dry handkerchiefs for its grandma, shield Dudu from the sun, and share fruits with Lely. It was much happier than standing alone in the yard. It turns out that a tiny sapling, as long as it grows hard, can become a little guard in the yard, bringing warmth and joy to everyone. When the moon rose, LVLV was still standing quietly. The deep green leaves swayed gently in the moonlight, as if guarding every little life in the yard. The courtyard was quiet, with only the rustling sound of the leaves in the wind. Because of LVLV, this small courtyard became more and more lively and warm. Such days were sweeter than the sweet crabbable fruits and more beautiful than the thick leaves. A heartwarming story of a fluffy little rabbit in the forest. In the carrot field at the edge of the forest lived a little rabbit, and everyone called her Rong Rong. She was covered with snow-white fur, as if wrapped in a layer of freshly fallen snowflakes. Her long ears were tinged with a light pink when she ran. Her ears bounced back and forth. With a gentle push of her hind legs, she could jump far away, and even the wind couldn't catch up with her. The most special thing about her is her little nose. She always loves to sniff around and can find the sweetest carrots in the forest, as well as the little troubles of her friends. That early morning Rong Rong carried the small bamboo basket woven by her mother and went to the field to pick the freshest carrots for breakfast. Just as I pulled out a carrot still covered with soil, I heard a soft woo cry. It was the little hedgehog Kuki that had just moved to the forest. It wanted to send a wild strawberry to its grandma far away, but it didn't know the way to her house, and was afraid that its spines would prick others, so it didn't dare to ask for directions. Rong Rong quickly put down the carrot, jumped to Kiwi's side, and gently touched its thorn with her nose. She knew which thorn wouldn't hurt people. "Don't be afraid, I'll take you there. I know the way." She walked ahead, helping Kuki push away the small branches blocking the way, and from time to time stopped to wait for Kuki, fearing that it might not keep up. When passing by the stream, Rong Rong found a big lotus leaf, asked Kuki to sit on it, and pushed the leaf across the stream herself. It wasn't long before we arrived at Kui's grandma's home. Kayuki was holding wild strawberries and waved her little paws at Rong Rong, saying, "Thank you, Rong Rong. Your ears are more conspicuous than a small flag. I won't get lost at all following you." In the morning, as the sun rose slowly, Rong Rong was jumping around the dandelion bushes when she saw the little squirrel lily squatting on a branch. Worried. The cloth bag it used to hold pine cones had a hole, and the pine cones were scattered all over the ground. If they were blown away by the wind, there would be no food to eat in winter. Rong Rong quickly jumped over, used her soft down to catch the scattered pine cones, and handed the small bamboo basket to Lally. "Let S put them in my basket first. Mum said this basket is very sturdy." Lalube put the pine cones into the basket and deliberately picked the biggest one to give to Rong Rong Rong. "This is for you as a snack. Your basket is much more useful than my cloth bag." At noon, the sun was scorching. The little sparrows that had just learned to fly chirped, their wings drooping from the sun. They landed on the grass and couldn't fly, chirping anxiously. Rong Rong quickly jumped to Juju's side and blocked the sunlight with her big ears, like opening two small white umbrellas. She also took out a dewy carrot from the basket, squeezed out the sweet juice and fed it to Juju to drink. Shushu drank the carrot juice and gradually regained her strength. She flapped her wings at Rong Rong and said, "Thank you, Rong Rong. Your ears are cooler than leaves." In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Rong Rong remembered that the little ants Guogo were still carrying breadcrumbs on the distant hillside. She quickly jumped over and called out Zizi. To them, she had learned the sound of ants from her mother, reminding them to go home quickly. He also helped the fruit put the breadcrumbs into the small bamboo baskets and sent them back to the ant nest. Guoguo shook its antennae at Rong Rong and put a small piece of breadcrumbs in the basket, as if giving her a small gift. In the evening, the setting sun died. The forest orange. Dread Rong Rong was sitting in the carrot field, surrounded by Kuki, Lele, and Juju. They were sharing carrots, pine cones, and wild strawberries. Rong Rong bit into the sweet carrot, looking at the smiling faces of her friends. Her ears swayed gently, and her heart felt warm. Suddenly, she felt that running fast was not just for jumping and playing, but also to help everyone deliver things, shield from the sun, and pass on messages. It was much happier than eating carrots alone. It turns out that even a tiny rabbit can, with its own enthusiasm and agility, become a little sun in the forest, bringing warmth and safety to every friend. When the moon rose, Rong Rong was still bouncing along the path by the field, her snow-white fluff gently twinkling in the moonlight like a moving little cotton ball. The forest was quiet, with only the chirping of insects and the soft footsteps of Rong Rong. Because of Rong Rong, this forest became more and more lively and warmer. Such days were sweeter than sweet carrots and more comfortable than soft down. The slow race of the little turtle always walks very slowly, and his friends often can't wait for him. One day, a friendship race was going to be held in the forest, and everyone signed up excitedly. The little rabbit smiled and said, "Little turtle, are you going to participate too? You are so slow." The little turtle nodded. "Although I'm slow, I will keep walking to the finish line." The race began, and the little rabbit and the little deer rushed out quickly. The little turtle walked forward step by step, slowly. Unexpectedly, halfway through the run, the little rabbit was so tired that it lay down on the grass to rest, and the little deer was lured away by the butterfly. Only the little turtle walked firmly on the track. Before the friends could come to their senses, the little turtle had already slowly climbed onto the finish line. Everyone was extremely surprised. The little turtle smiled and said, "Whether fast or slow, as long as you persist, you will reach your destination." Implication: don't compete with others in speed when doing things. Perseverance leads to victory. The slow race of the little turtle always walks very slowly, and his friends often can't wait for him. One day, a friendship race was going to be held in the forest, and everyone signed up excitedly. The little rabbit smiled and said, "Little turtle, are you going to participate too? You are so slow." The little turtle nodded. "Although I'm slow, I will keep walking to the finish line." The race began, and the little rabbit and the little deer rushed out quickly. The little turtle walked forward step by step, slowly. Unexpectedly, halfway through the run, the little rabbit was so tired that it lay down on the grass to rest, and the little deer was lured away by the butterfly. Only the little turtle,
little shrimp, who loves dancing in the clear little river. There lived a lively little shrimp. It always likes to wag its tail, jumping around among the water plants. It seems like a dance performance. The fish looked and laughed. Little shrimp, why do you always jump around? The little shrimp said shyly, I don't know either. I just want to jump. One day, a wind blew in the big river. The little water plants were swaying unsteadily in the wind. The little fish were so scared that they all hid. The little shrimp jumped out bravely. It leads the fish with its dance steps, bypassed the rapids, and safely returned to the quiet water bay. The fish said happily, turns out that the little shrimp's dance is a dance that brings courage. Since then, the little shrimp has been dancing happily in the river every day, and everyone will follow it and dance together. Story implication sometimes. The things you like it is precisely your unique power. Be brave to be yourself, and you can bring happiness and hope to others. Little shrimp, who loves dancing in the clear little river. There lived a lively little shrimp. It always likes to wag its tail, jumping around among the water plants. It seems like a dance performance. The fish looked and laughed. Little shrimp, why do you always jump around? The little shrimp said shyly, I don't know either. I just want to jump. One day, a wind blew in the big river. The little water plants were swaying unsteadily in the wind. The little fish were so scared that they all hid. The little shrimp jumped out bravely. It leads the fish with its dance steps, bypassed the rapids, and safely returned to the quiet water bay. The fish said happily, turns out that the little shrimp's dance is a dance that brings courage. Since then, the little shrimp has been dancing happily in the river every day, and everyone will follow it and dance together. Story implication sometimes. The things you like it is precisely your unique power. Be brave to be yourself, and you can bring happiness and hope to others. Little shrimp, who loves dancing in the clear little river. There lived a lively little shrimp. It always likes to wag its tail, jumping around among the water plants. It seems like a dance performance. The fish looked and laughed. Little shrimp, why do you always jump around? The little shrimp said shyly, I don't know either. I just want to jump. One day, a wind blew in the big river. The little water plants were swaying unsteadily in the wind. The first adventure of the little chicken on the farm in the early morning. A little yellow chick poked its head out of the chicken coop. It looked out at the large meadow. My heart is itching. I'm going on an adventure. The little chicken giggled all the way. I met a snail. The snail said slowly, Don't worry, the path is long. Be careful. The little chicken nodded and continued moving forward. Then it met a little cat again. The little cat meowed, Be brave, but don't forget to go home. All the way, although the little chicken was a little scared, but still, I gathered my courage. I saw the blooming flowers and the glittering stream. I also made new friends. In the evening, the little chick returned to its mother hen's arms. Happily say, it turns out that adventure is not just about going far. Instead, learn to be brave and grow. Story implication: bravery does not mean the absence of fear, but they dared to move forward even with fear. Even small steps can lead to a vast world. The first adventure of the little chicken on the farm in the early morning. A little yellow chick poked its head out of the chicken coop. It looked out at the large meadow. My heart is itching. I'm going on an adventure. The little chicken giggled all the way. I met a snail. The snail said slowly, Don't worry, the path is long. Be careful. The little chicken nodded and continued moving forward. Then it met a little cat again. The little cat meowed, Be brave, but don't forget to go home. All the way, although the little chicken was a little scared, but still, I gathered my courage. I saw the blooming flowers and the glittering stream. I also made new friends. In the evening, the little chick returned to its mother hen's arms. Happily say, it turns out that adventure is not just about going far. Instead, learn to be brave and grow.